Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Chrisley knows best. Kyle gets nasty about Savannah's voice. Kyle Chrisley and his half-sister, Chrisley knows best alum, Savannah Chrisley are feuding over his biological daughter and dad, Chloe and Todd Chrisley. But is he hitting back now to try and bend her heartstrings? Read on to find out what's going on with Todd Chrisley's oldest son. Kyle Chrisley begged his dad for visitation rights. When Todd Chrisley went to prison for fraud and tax-related offenses, he signed over custody of Chloe to his daughter, Savannah. Chloe was born to Angela Johnson, Kyle's girlfriend at the time. While she fought for legal access, she never got it because Todd and Julie had adopted the child. Kyle Chrisley recently complained that his dad won't let him visit him in prison, and that upset him because he wanted to talk to his father about letting him see Chloe. Unfortunately, Todd refused and told him to talk to Savannah Chrisley. From the Chrisley knows best alum's reaction, he can probably go and kick rocks. Savannah Chrisley keeps Chloe away from Kyle, he hits back. Todd's oldest son never used to be very active on social media. However, he started doing Q and as on his Instagram stories. Earlier this month, Chrisley knows best fans saw that he talked about Savannah not allowing him to see his daughter. He said that he doesn't see her at all. Kyle Chrisley and Savannah do not get along, and she slammed him hard for ruining his relationship with his dad. At one stage, they had all reconciled. Chase and Savannah had even made up with their half-brother. However, there are suspicions that he and Lindsay cooperated with the FBI in his dad's trial investigation. Now it seems that Kyle might be hitting back by playing on his sister's emotions. Recently, he shared another post on Stories. It came after an article by People. Alongside the screenshot of the People article, Kyle had posted an old photo. In that caption it said, "Savannah Chrisley seems inflexible when it comes to any cooperation with her half-sister, Lindsay, and her brother, Kyle Chrisley. They had different moms, but often, blended families can be a successful reality. As time goes by, it seems that she becomes more determined to remain estranged from her half-siblings. Probably, if he tries hitting at her heartstrings, it won't make any difference at all." The tension in the Chrisley family had been simmering for weeks, but no one expected it to boil over during something as trivial as a family dinner. Kyle Chrisley, notoriously unpredictable and outspoken, had been keeping a low profile for some time. But on this particular evening, the restraint that had held him back shattered, and Savannah became his unfortunate target. It all started innocently enough. The family was seated around the long oak table, plates of food laid out like a buffet of Southern comfort. Todd Chrisley, the patriarch, was in full charm mode, cracking jokes and tossing out his usual one-liners. Julie, ever the anchor, smiled patiently at her husband's antics, while Chase made his routine wisecracks from the other end of the table. Savannah, meanwhile, had just returned from a work trip, glowing with excitement about a recent success. Her latest business venture had been featured on a national talk show, and she had been invited to sing, a skill she had always been proud of. Savannah's enthusiasm was infectious. She recounted the moment she took the stage, microphone in hand, her nerves giving way to pure joy as she belted out a cover of her favorite song. The family smiled, happy for her, though Todd couldn't resist teasing her about her nerves. "Darling, you know you were fabulous," Todd said, his southern drawl as sweet as honey. "Just like your daddy." Savannah laughed, rolling her eyes. "Dad, it wasn't about you this time." But while most of the family shared in the light-hearted moment, Kyle sat in silence, his expression unreadable. He'd been distant lately, but no one wanted to push him to talk. They knew better than to provoke Kyle when he was in one of his moods. The dinner continued, the air warm with laughter and casual conversation, but the tension at Kyle's end of the table grew palpable. He kept his head down, picking at his food, until finally, Savannah's voice came up again. "Everyone was so sweet," Savannah said, her face lighting up. "They even complimented my singing. Maybe I should do it more often." That's when Kyle snapped. "Oh please," he muttered under his breath, though loud enough for the room to hear. The room fell silent, all eyes on Kyle. Savannah's smile faltered as she looked across the table at her brother. "What's that supposed to mean?" Kyle pushed his plate away, his frustration suddenly bubbling to the surface. "It means your voice isn't that great, Savannah. Everyone's just too scared to tell you." A shocked gasp escaped Julie while Todd's expression hardened. Chase shifted uncomfortably in his seat, clearly unsure of what to say. But Savannah, ever the Chrisley, didn't back down. "That's not true," she shot back, her voice tinged with hurt. "I've worked hard to improve. People said I did great." "People lie, Savannah." Kyle's voice rose, the bitterness in his tone impossible to ignore. "No one's gonna tell you the truth because you're Todd Chrisley's golden child. You're the favorite. You always get everything handed to you, and everyone just pretends you're perfect." Savannah's cheeks flushed as she absorbed the blow. "That's not fair, Kyle. I've worked for everything I have, you know that." Kyle stood up, his chair scraping loudly against the floor. "You think you've worked for anything? You don't even know what hard work is. Everything's always been about you, Savannah. Your beauty, your business, your stupid singing, and everyone just plays along like you're some kind of star. Well, guess what? You're not." The room was thick with tension, the family frozen in place. Savannah blinked, tears forming in the corners of her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She wasn't going to break in front of him. Todd finally spoke, his voice calm but laced with warning. "Kyle, that's enough." Kyle turned to his father, his face twisted with anger. "Oh, now you care? Now you want to play daddy and tell me what to do? Where were you when I needed you, huh?" Julie stood up, moving toward Kyle in an attempt to calm him, but he shook his head, taking a step back. "No, I'm done with this fake family. I'm done pretending everything's okay when it's not." Without another word, Kyle stormed out of the room, leaving behind a silence so heavy it felt suffocating. Savannah sat still, her heart pounding in her chest, as the rest of the family tried to process what had just happened. No one had seen it coming, least of all her. In the days that followed, Kyle's outburst lingered like a dark cloud over the Chrisley household. Savannah threw herself into her work, determined not to let her brother's words get under her skin. But late at night, when the house was quiet and her thoughts were loud, she couldn't help but replay his accusations in her mind. Was he right? Had she been blind to the privilege that came with being Todd Chrisley's daughter? Had she ignored her brother's struggles in her pursuit of success? The questions gnawed at her, and though she tried to shake them off, the hurt lingered. Kyle, meanwhile, remained distant. He avoided family gatherings, ignoring calls and texts from both his parents and siblings. The Chrisleys were no strangers to drama, but this felt different. This felt like a fracture that might not heal so easily. As the days turned into weeks, Savannah knew she would have to face Kyle again. And when that day came, she vowed to be ready, not to fight, but to listen, because maybe, just maybe, there was some truth in his anger that she needed to hear. In the sun-soaked world of reality TV, where drama bubbles beneath the surface like magma, there is no shortage of tension when the Chrisley family gathers. Their world is an intricate dance of sharp wit, southern charm, and more than a little sibling rivalry. This time, the center of it all is a seemingly harmless, offhand remark that escalated into a family drama, with Kyle Chrisley taking aim at his younger sister, Savannah, the target of his sudden animosity, her voice. It all started during one of the family's routine gatherings. Todd and Julie sat on the couch in their sprawling Nashville home, discussing the latest Chrisley business ventures while Savannah and Chase exchanged playful banter. Savannah, radiant as always, was animatedly recounting her latest adventure, her voice filling the room. She had a vivaciousness that always seemed to light up any space she entered. Her voice, bright and melodic, was a perfect reflection of her personality. But that day, Kyle, the elder brother who had been somewhat on the outskirts of the family due to past struggles, was unusually tense. He sat with his arms crossed, looking on with a mix of irritation and impatience. Savannah continued her story, unaware that her voice had become like nails on a chalkboard to Kyle.